Secret spy gadgets, huh? You know all about the Cold War, right? It was that time between the 1940s and 1980s where the United States of America and the United States of Soviet Russia, or whatever it stood for, decided to really duke it out on whose economic system was superior for worldwide domination, capitalism or communism. But since the USSR is nowhere to be found on a modern map and over 300 versions of Monopoly are available on the market, it's pretty clear who won. Now, it was called the Cold War because neither superpower actually fought each other directly. Instead, everything was just one big wiener measuring competition from who could build better weapons to who could make more countries kill each other. But sometimes sneaky measures were taken to get the upper hand. And that's where spies came in. Highly trained agents designed to infiltrate enemy lines and carefully yank critical information from the other side, among other fruitful missions. But they needed to be creative in their method of extracting information to avoid getting caught. Good spies don't get caught. Perhaps the most common tool in a spy's arsenal was the hidden camera. In order to follow the cardinal rule of pics or it didn't happen, these discreet little lenses were used to secretly take pictures of sensitive documents or sensitive people without being too obvious. Really? Could you flip that over, please? Yes, of course. The clever cameras were carefully concealed in copious quantities of clothes and components like coats, coins, and cleavage. Perhaps one of the most effective types was the microdot camera, a tiny camera used to make even tinier pictures. About the size of a small coin, these little wonders captured images of full-size sensitive documents. But thanks to a special lens and some fancy physics, the resulting image would be scaled down to just a dot. A microdot, if you will. These microdots measured about 1 millimeter in length and could easily be snuck back into headquarters where they could be magnified and properly read. Gotcha. But taking pictures of a few confidential documents was small-time work. Sometimes you need to think bigger, like entire secret bases bigger. So in order to get a bird's-eye view on the landscape, you had to do just that. That's where the employment and deployment of pigeon cameras came in. Specially trained pigeons that had big old cameras strapped to their chests and sent flying across areas where the camera could reveal potential bases and strategic locations. But if seeing wasn't an option, then listening was an acceptable alternative. It was a common tactic for intelligence operations to bug a room, meaning that multiple listening devices would be planted around said room or on an agent. But some smartass took the term bug a little too literal, which is how the dragonfly insectithopter became reality. But why oh why the dragonfly? Well, because a regular fly is too small and swaddle, and while a prototype for a bumblebee was developed, it was noted that real bees are too erratic when they fly. So if a couple of savvy sleuths noticed a bumblebee just kind of hovering around in the air, it was a telltale sign that your business was being recorded. Dragonflies, though, can kind of just hover for a while, so it's a little less suspicious. Plus, their long, slender bodies were a perfect shape to house the mechanics necessary to be a microphone with wings. I'm sorry, how many missiles did you say in Cuba? Is there a lake nearby or something? But if you had insectophobia, then what could be the next best thing? This thing. The thing. This vaguely named piece of woodwork was a hand-carved U.S. Great Seal gifted by the Soviet Union to a U.S. ambassador a few weeks before World War II ended. I guess the USSR wanted to get an early jump on the whole spying thing. It was hung up in the ambassador's private study as a way to passively listen in on conversations. But how? Hidden in the wood carving was an antenna that, although mechanically simple, was pretty impressive technology. Invented by Leon Theremin, who is famous for also inventing the theremin, that weird frequency instrument that goes all this listening device had no power source or wires, rendering it virtually undetectable. Instead, a remote radio frequency would turn on the device, allowing the Soviets to actively listen in whenever those perverts pleased. Classified as a resonant cavity microphone, it was basically a tiny diaphragm that would vibrate from sound waves of people yapping. Those vibrations are then transformed into a signal which was sent back to the device was so well hidden that it actually wasn't found until 7 years later. Yo, Dave, check this out. The Soviets put a freaking microphone in the seal. Those commie bastards were listening this whole time? I'm gonna rip it out. No, wait. I have an idea. Time to listen in on the Americans. I hate my job. Now, you might be thinking, man, microphones and cameras? That shit's lame on God, for real, or whatever the flip y'all say today. Well, if I were mean, this is where I would put something loud to blow at your eardrums in retaliation, but I'm not gonna do that. Next up in the spy arsenal sounds like an idea that someone just pulled out of their ass. You ever see like a Swiss Army knife with its super convenient and practical tools like knives and saws and screwdrivers? Now, imagine if you got the sudden urge to just ram that thing up your anatomical back pocket for later retrieval in a pinch. Well, you're in luck, I guess, 'cause that's what the rectal toolkit is for. Hey, at least it's better than a glass jar. Used mainly by very brave CIA agents at the height of the Cold War, this toolkit was equipped with all the aforementioned tools needed to get yourself out of a shitty situation, all conveniently contained in a ribbed-for-your-pleasure capsule. Although convenient, there might be a few obvious tells of the support of suppository. Alright, the guards are distracted. Let's move out. I'm right behind you. Sometimes a spy needs a quick getaway. Luckily, there are plenty of opportunities at your disposal. Perhaps a spy's best offense was a solid defense of remaining anonymous and indiscernible amongst a crowd. Many spies were artists in terms of changing disguises on the fly to get any would-be pursuers off their trail. But if changing clothes didn't do the trick, then the 5-second mask would. This was a latex mask developed for quick identity theft on the go. In just 5 seconds, as the name implies, one could assume an entirely new appearance from the shoulders up, complete with facial hair and a hairline that screams, "I've got a mortgage, an unsatisfied wife, and 3 ungrateful brats at home." No enemy agents would suspect a thing, but they would certainly be sympathetic towards your new fake backstory. Maybe even empathetic. Godspeed, soldier. But if you're still being tailed and need a quick diversion, it might be time to deploy the Jack-in-the-Box. Constructed from a hopefully unused sex doll, this inflatable fellow served as a decoy for a vehicular getaway. When getting Ubered away from a mission, you may get a feeling that you're being followed and need to quickly vamoose. The enemy's coming and you're behind. Do a barrel roll. Assuming your driver knows the assignment and you tipped him well, he can quickly turn a corner while you delicately tuck and roll to safety. The Jack-in-the-Box is then quickly inflated where you were sitting, convincing your assailants that you didn't just take yourself out by slamming your dome into a street lamp at 35 miles an hour. However, there may be a chance where the jig is up and you get got. No need to worry though, they can't extract information from you if you're completely dead. You know that famous Pirates of the Caribbean quote? The thing is, it's very unpatriotic to give up confidential information to an enemy entity. Try to receive them. So in order to not disgrace your home country that put you in this dangerous pickle in the first place, you have one last resort. A lethal dose of cyanide hidden in your false tooth. Just gnaw on that sucker like one of Grandma's old strawberry candies to earn your one-way ticket to Sleepy By Junction. Now, if you've got the stones for it and you want to fight back, that's where the real fun stuff begins, with an arsenal of concealed weapons at your disposal. This first one really packs a punch. This is the Sedgley OSS-38 single-shot glove pistol. A relatively simple weapon capable of delivering a very simple death. See, with a gun, you pull a trigger and your point comes across pretty quickly. With a glove gun, you get to punch them in the face while you're at it. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, but it's killing one face with a bullet and a fist. So when you're in a bout of fisticuffs and your opponent insists you give him your best shot, boy will he be surprised. For you ladies out there looking to discreetly apply a nice shade of red to yourself and a target, there's the lipstick pistol, also referred to as the kiss of death. This little guy was a single-shot 4.5mm pistol hidden in a lipstick holder used by the KGB. They were the Soviet equivalent of the CIA. Easily disguised as a harmless accessory in a handbag, this weapon could be concealed next to your concealer and make up the foundation of your arsenal. I would imagine such an encounter would go like this. Oh wow, what a lovely shade. What color is that? It's called You're Gonna. You're gonna? Yeah, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Ooh, how exotic sounding. How does it look? Okay, maybe such tactics are a little bit messy. Let's shoot for something more surreptitious, like poison. Poison's great when you're not on the receiving end of it. If you don't want the hassle of dirty work to rain on your parade, you can opt for the Bulgarian umbrella. This clever contraption looks like a typical umbrella, but it isn't, obviously. This umbrella actually contains a pneumatic element which, when triggered, will launch a poison dart towards any target you desire. The poison of choice was ricin, a potent chemical which, when injected, will cause massive internal bleeding and organ failure, guaranteed to put a damper on anyone's day. The Bulgarian umbrella is referred to as such because the most famous use of the device was in 1978 when a KGB agent assassinated a Bulgarian enemy of the state right in the middle of the streets of London. Is someone there? I suppose if you really want to take aim at who you're pumping full of poison, then equip yourself with the ominously named heart attack gun. Revealed to the general public in 1975, this firearm was, as the name implies, capable of delivering one free heart attack by means of a lethal injection of shellfish toxin right into the bloodstream. The toxin was discovered by one Miss Mary Embry of the CIA. Her discovery also played a major role in Project MK Naomi, a secret U.S. program aimed at developing biological weapons during the Cold War and a successor to the infamous Project MK Ultra. The poison was frozen into a compact dart and fired at a high speed. Once it penetrated the target, it would melt and be absorbed into the body. The toxin would spread and mimic the symptoms of an innocent heart attack. Only a tiny red dot was the evidence that anything malicious had even happened, besides a dead body. So remember, no matter the tool you pick for the job, the best weapon you have is your mind. You always want to make sure that that thing is as sharp as a spoon, and you can do that by learning more about history with these videos. I'll see you over there.